Welcome to this week's On the Fly. I'm your host, Gene DeFilippo, and our guest this week is the very successful Director of Athletics at Fairfield University, Paul Schlickmann. Paul, great to have you on our podcast.
Gene, it is great to see you, and obviously longtime fan of yours, and hold your career in great regard. So it's a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. Hey, let's talk about Fairfield. Tell all of our listeners out there where you went to college, a little bit about you, and then where Fairfield College is and how far it's come both athletically and academically.
Sure. A quick overview of my journey. Massachusetts guy, born and bred, and grew up in Central Mass. I call myself a Worcester kid with great pride. Went to school at Trinity, was fortunate to be a student athlete there at a great place, and had a great experience, and very formative for me, and kind of setting me on a path where I felt like I wanted to pursue a career in sports. Didn't know exactly what that meant. Coached for 3 years after that, Division III basketball at Worcester State College for a couple. Was a graduate assistant coach at Springfield.
Yes.
Fellow Springfield guy, Gene. Go Pride, go Triangles. And had a great experience at Trinity. It was very influential for me in my path forward. Met some great people there, some of the best mentors I've had. Kind of set me on the administrative path. Was fortunate to do a very valuable internship with the ECAC office, the Bushnell internship. From there, went to Yale as an assistant AD, and had an amazing experience grinding my teeth, kind of learning every facet of college athletics administration, again under a great mentor in Tom Beckett for a 10-year stint there. Was fortunate to go from there to be a deputy at Stony Brook University, where we kind of helped build a Division I program from the ground up. So an amazing experience to help run the day-to-day operations of a department. Realized I certainly had the aspiration to be an athletics director, and wanted to take the Division I route. So started dipping my toe in the water, and was fortunate to get the Central Connecticut job in the spring of 2010. Wonderful experience there for 7 years, grinding my teeth as an AD and kind of figuring it out. And then this job opened up with Gene Doris's retirement, my predecessor, in 17, and got a call from the search firm that was running it, and always had great knowledge of and regard for Fairfield. My dad happens to be an alumnus. Graduated in '62, went here on the GI Bill, so I've been hearing about the Stags since I was a little guy. And being in New England my entire career, professionally, educationally, always knew about the university and the athletics program and the tradition here, and so was curious and got involved. And then the clincher for me was meeting at the time our brand new president, Mark Nemec, and he kind of had me at hello with his vision for the university, with his vision for how athletics could be a very effective, can and should be a very effective vehicle in moving the needle and the brand of a university towards national prominence. And we've been on board. This is year number 8, and we've locked arms, and this continues to be an incredibly special place. We've experienced amazing growth. It's on a great trajectory institutionally. I think we're operating on a parallel track athletically and achieving some great things too. But I believe our best days ahead of us. This is I love this place. It's amazing people, amazing vision, amazing leadership, and I feel like we're on a great path, and super excited about our future while being proud of what we've accomplished thus far.
Well, you sure are. The 24.9 acceptance rate at Fairfield is really, really great. Talk a little bit about that, Paul.
I think it's certainly something to be proud of. And then again, it goes along with what I mentioned about our trajectory. You know, I would say President Nemec's overriding premise is to have Fairfield achieve national prominence. And so, if you look at the progression of our record-setting applications in each of the last few years, so we've gained a lot of notoriety. This incoming class has students from 49 states. So our reach is dramatically better than it ever has been. Obviously, the caliber of students and their affinity for choosing Fairfield is better than it's ever been. So I think it's a byproduct of vision and process and following through on that. It's a commitment to comprehensive excellence in everything that we're doing. And so I think there's a very cumulative positive impact to that. And so we are now one of the most selective Catholic universities in the country, and certainly something we're very proud of. And that's a scorecard indicator of, I think, a lot of incredibly positive things happening to put us there. At the same time, a very relentless focus on the student experience and a very strong adherence to our mission and our core values. And I think that's a really powerful combination. I think that's why we're having such great success.
Yeah. Paul, when I was the director of athletics at Boston College, we played Fairfield several times,
Mhm.
but we always played in downtown Bridgeport. And in 2022, you and the president and the board of trustees opened a new basketball facility. Tell us about it.
We sure do. I could talk for days about it, Gene. I'm so proud of it, and it gives me goosebumps every time I talk about it. Every time I walk in that place, we just finished year 3 in there. It is spectacular. It's been a complete game changer for us on so many levels, and I can talk about the layers of impact with that. Um, I would say at the outset, my belief is that you may find bigger, you won't find better in terms of that arena and the quality of it. Obviously, at core, it's been incredibly impactful for our teams and our student athletes. So men's and women's basketball and volleyball who compete in there. Um, it has had a significant impact, dramatic impact on our students, faculty, and staff, and allowing them now to be more directly engaged and have it be accessible for them. And so one of our priorities for athletics to be that vehicle is to enhance campus spirit and pride. So it's had a significant impact on that, um, and most definitely in the community. We have it's a great college town. It's a town that has great affinity for Fairfield and our athletics programs, but that's even grown significantly in the last 3 years with Mahoney as a vehicle for that. So we have 4,000 alums in town. So this idea of supporting us as the hometown team, um, alums, uh, townsfolks who have young family members, it's just become the place to be on a Friday night or a Saturday, Sunday afternoon. So huge groundswell of support and momentum. So it's a and we've I like to think we've done a really good job of creating a best in class game day experience. And so we've really focused a lot on that and invested heavily in that. And our season tickets are at an all time high. So it's been a game changer, and we have our foot on the gas to continue to try and keep it that way. And but love it, amazing place, and it's been a great community communing atmosphere and venue for us. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say just it's not just men's and women's basketball and volleyball. We do a multitude of campus-wide events in there. Beginning of the year, admitted students days, baccalaureate mass, graduate education. There's a whole slew of university events that we are now hosting in there that bring our campus together. So far-reaching impact, and I think indicative of our commitment to modernizing everything that we're doing here.
That's great. Paul, you and your staff were the winners of the 2024 Front Office Sports Best College Athletic Department. What a great honor. Tell us a little bit about your staff and that honor.
Well, it should start. I appreciate you mentioning that. We're honored, obviously, and humbled to be the recipients of that and recognized by Front Office Sports for that honor. It does start with our staff. It's reflective of, as you know all too well, it's reflective of the village that it takes to be successful. From our trustees to our president to our senior leadership team on campus to my team here in athletics. Great people who are very committed, very passionate about what we're doing, have bought into the vision for where we want to go, and have their foot on the gas every day. So it's a great honor. We're in very prestigious company with that in the grouping of schools that were associated with that award. And again, I think it's reflective of the mindset of being the pursuit of modern excellence and trying to create a value proposition here at Fairfield that again is anchored in our core values and our mission that we feel very strongly about, but always adapting to the environment around us to try and modernize that experience and meet the needs of the modern student or the modern student athlete in our case. So we're very proud of that, and it was certainly a great honor for sure.
Paul, you came to Fairfield from Central Connecticut, and a lot of people don't look at Connecticut as a football state, but in looking at the number of coaches in the NFL, head coaches in the NFL who have come from the state of Connecticut, is just incredible. And Dave Campbell was a student at Central Connecticut, and he was head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Bill Belichick and Eric Mangini went to college at Wesleyan. Mike McDaniel at Yale. Chris Palmer and Kevin Gilbride went to Southern Connecticut. In fact, I played against them. They whipped us really good one year at Southern, and the next year we got them at home. But you haven't had football for 22 years at Fairfield, but you still got a great state for football, basketball. Connecticut's really a good state.
It's 100%. And so the lineage, the tradition of high school, college football, and the coaches associated with the programs in the state is certainly spectacular. When I, as you were depicting that, I'm thinking of my personal experience with some of the great coaches that I've been fortunate to cross paths with. When I go back to my days at Trinity, Don Miller, one of the best D3 head coaches, ever, and Jeff Devaney, who's now doing an incredible job at Trinity and with running a spectacular program. Chuck Priori, who had been at Trinity for an amazing run. When I got to Stony Brook from Yale, we stole him away from Trinity to be our head coach at Stony Brook. You mentioned the incredible lineage of alums who came through Central who went on to have great coaching careers. I hired Pete Rossamondo at Central Connecticut, who was integrally tied to a bunch of those New Haven guys.
Right.
And he's now doing a terrific job as the head coach at Lamar. So you're right. We don't have varsity football here, but I spent a bunch of time very interwoven in the college football ranks. I was fortunate to serve on the NCAA FCS committee. So big college football fan. And some of the best people I've been fortunate to meet or work with have been in that realm. So yeah, it's a great point.
Well, Paul, let's talk about some of your sports programs. You've had some tremendous success in women's basketball and in baseball and so many other sports in the MAC conference. Tell us about them.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Gene. We're having a pretty good run. And I think it's something we've been certainly building towards since I've been here. Again, it goes back to try and to create an athletics program and a culture that adds value to the institutional priorities. And our overarching one is to try and achieve national prominence. And as you know, athletics can certainly be a primary driver of that and be a very ineffective vehicle to achieve that. So we've tried to build a very substantive, holistic approach to how we do this, in line with our Jesuit values and the development of our student athletes. I like to think I say often to our staff, and I believe this very deeply, that any competitive successes we have is a byproduct of how we're doing all the other things and paying attention to all the details and all the components that go into positioning athletes for success and coaches and programs. It's been a priority for us to try and position all our teams to take a crack at winning at a high level, winning a conference championship. We've been fortunate to have some success with that. The Commissioner's Cup is an indicator of that as a statistic. But I do think it's a byproduct of our culture, of some amazing people. We have an incredibly talented faculty of head coaches, and hiring top-notch student athletes who believe in what we're doing and the value proposition that is Fairfield. And so there's a whole slew of things, I think, and factors that go into that bucket that is producing competitive success. But we have our foot on the gas. We're in the midst of a knock on wood. We're in the midst of a great run here this year with multiple teams still active in the spring, and but I feel like it's the cumulative impact of what we've been building for, and we want to continue to do that.
Paul, let me interrupt you just a minute.
Go for it.
But your baseball team was the first team to get an at-large bid from the MAC conference, and you played in the Austin, Texas regional, and winning 2 games. Now, when I was at Boston College again, we played in the Austin, Texas regional in the longest game in NCAA history, 25 innings. It was 85. No, I'm sorry, Paul. It was 95 degrees when the game started. 7 hours and 3 minutes later,
That's unbelievable.
Texas won the game, and it was 85 degrees at 1 o'clock. But talk about that baseball team going down there and winning 2 games.
That was, thank you, Gene, for bringing that up. That was one of the most memorable trips I have and experiences I've ever been fortunate to be a part of. It was an amazing trip on so many levels and memorable. It was a magical run by that team during that season. We were in the midst of the COVID impact, but had an incredible run in the regular season, garnered some national attention for wins. We were right there with approaching the national record for consecutive wins and so forth. We stubbed our toe in the MAC championship, but because we had fortunately built up such a good resume, we got that at-large bid. I will never forget being in the room in our student center across the way with the team when our name got called on the selection show. Incredibly exciting, proud moment. Never forget it. And then we go down there, and just a special group of young men who were, when I think of them, I just think of them. They were just a bunch of blue collar junkies who got after it every day, supported each other, incredibly unified, selfless, very talented, played for each other every inning of every play of every day, and just wasn't surprised by their ability to go down there and compete and do it on a national stage, but again, showed amazing grit and fortitude, winning a couple games, getting to the final against Texas. As you have probably experienced in those regionals, they're special because it's not a one and done deal. So you get immersed in the culture and the vibe of the place you're playing, Texas was an incredible host. It's an amazing atmosphere for college baseball. And often what happens is the quote unquote underdog gets adopted by the home team fans. And so they did with us. They were terrific and they were rooting for us until finals when 8,000 people showed up and we had to play them. Then they got after us pretty good. But an amazing atmosphere for our university, for our athletes. Sidebar with that, our head coach, Bill Curria, who's done an incredible job here building a consistently successful program. He had to, the timing was such that his son was getting married that weekend. So he came down with us, and we had my deputy, Zach Dayton, had to navigate these planes, trains, and automobiles, this wacky itinerary to get him back up to Vermont for the wedding and back so that he could still coach in the tournament. There was so many sidebar stories to that made it special and memorable, but really incredible. And they're maintaining that success. So we're in first place right now in the MAC and one of the better ranked teams in the region in Division I, and certainly looking to finish strong this regular season and the MAC championship, see if we can get back there.
Great. Well, we're out of time on this week's podcast. I'm your host, Gene DeFilippo, and I want to thank our guest, Paul Schlickmann. Paul, thank you for being here. As expected, you did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Gene. It's been my pleasure always, and it's been great to see you and talk to you. Thank you for having me.
To those listeners out there, thanks for your time this time, and we'll see you next time.